All right, folks. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Bucks America Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Vance. Tonight, I have Chris Vega and I have Nathan on the line here. And so these guys have long time. Had to shut off the YouTube there for a second. It's going off of my headset, so that was a little annoying. Anyways, getting back to the conversation here. So I have Nathan Meyer and I have Chris Vega. Chris has been on the podcast a few times in the past. This is his first time in a while. Then this is Nathan's very first podcast. Chris wanted me to have him on the podcast as soon as possible. These guys have been friends for quite some time. Also part of Downrange Outdoors. Without going anything further, I'm just going to let Nathan go ahead and talk about his roots in the outdoors and tell us some stories along with it.
All right. So I grew up on a decent sized acreage in Iowa, in north central Iowa. Outdoors has always been part of who I am. I was one of the last generations that still drank from the garden hose, as they say. So outdoors, from the moment we woke up to the moment we went to bed, we were out playing on the acreage, out in the fields, just doing our thing. And wintertime would come and me and my brother would load up our 22s and go out and shoot rabbits and squirrel and even pheasant. And it's always been part of who I am, I guess. After that, I kind of grew up a little bit. I joined the Marine Corps, and they loved to throw me outdoors and make me live in the dirt. And it was awesome for me. I mean, that's just part of who I am now. So, and ever since then, I wake up, I go outside, and this is my life.
That's a good way to be. We're all three of us are Iowa boys. I'm from Mitchell County, way up north, right there on the border of Minnesota and Iowa there. And so that's where I cut my teeth at when it came down to it. But you said you like to get out and go after some rabbits, huh? Do you have any fun stories from when your early days of rabbit hunting?
I learned really young. I'd say, I mean, it depends on who you are, but I'd say I was probably close to 6 years old the first time my dad took me rabbit hunting. And it was just one of those things. That was the first life that I ever, besides small birds with a BB gun, but with a firearm, that was the first life that I ever took. And it's always just been, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's exciting, going after a small game like that. They're fast and they're quick. And it's always stuck with me ever since I was a kid.
That's always a positive attitude. Now, do you hunt with your brothers or sisters or only child?
I've got a brother, a sister, and my dad primarily. So me and my dad and my brother, we always shoot deer season together, but we don't hunt as much as we used to, back when we were kids. But I'm more of a solo hunter. I like to get out and be stealthy and just enjoy the peace by myself. It's just,
So is that why you joined the Marines, so you can be by yourself?
Yeah. No, I met a lot of brothers in the Marine Corps, and we were never alone, unfortunately. But now that I'm out and I'm back home and settled back down, I mean, there's even days outside seasons where I'll go out in the woods and just spend an entire day just soaking it up.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Get out there, get away from all the electromagnetic fields and such.
Yeah.
So how did you and Chris cross paths?
So me and Chris met a couple of years ago when he's running Downrange Adrenaline, and what they do primarily is set up free hunting and fishing trips or guided trips for veterans that have issues adjusting back into the civilian life. Like I struggled a lot with that, but that's his main mission, is to get vets together and do, it's a therapy, to be honest, and it's really great. So that's how we met originally. But our first trip together, we went on a catfish trip. And we hit up a couple different spots and caught our own bait. We went out and sat and threw our lines out and just had a chance to sit back and talk about our experiences with the military and our downfalls. And he was just immediately we had a connection just due to our veteran roots.
Don't forget getting soaked and damn near cuddling under a tree.
Yeah, it was downpouring that night.
Oh, when you guys were out catfishing?
Yeah.
Yep.
So now, have you gotten a chance to go out with Martin yet, Nathan?
No, I have not.
Okay, I thought maybe you would went on one of his trips last season when they're out there hammering those big cats.
Oh, I was trying to. Chris wouldn't let me, though.
Hey, you know just as well as everybody else, I did the drawing. Got to keep it fair.
I know. I won that drawing, too, but
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just kidding.
So, Nathan, you live in Des Moines area, correct?
I'm up in north central Iowa, south of Mason City, in that area.
Oh, okay, all right. So I know about like Sheffield area and such.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet, man. It's like it's a small world when you really look at all on how everything all works out. Then now, let's see here. So what motivated you to sign up and join the Marines?
When I was young, I've got a cousin that's quite a bit older than me. And just for reference, when I was 3 years old, that's when we went to boot camp. But he joined the Marine Corps, and just watching him and his progress within the Marine Corps was just, it drew me in for the most part, along with just I really wanted to serve and do my part and, get the training, because the training was amazing. And that was a lot of the reason. But just get that full military experience and accomplish things in my life. That was really the drive.
That's good to hear. So, when you cycled out, so how many tours did you end up doing actually overall while you were in the military? How many years? You do 8, 10, 12?
I joined the Marine Corps and went to boot camp in 2011. I ended up my contract ended in 2020, which was kind of strange. It was a 9-year, but I had a 1-year extension. So I did 4 years active, and then I was inactive for a couple of years, and then went to the reserves for 2 years. During my time, I had one tour to Afghanistan in 2013. When I was in the reserve, they sent me to Norway for 6 weeks, and that was pretty interesting. I've been just about every state across the United States. I've been to Germany and Kyrgyzstan, just a little bit everywhere, really.
That's exciting. So what are some of your fonder memories when you were traveling around with the military? Do you have a favorite memory that sticks out?
I guess the favorite memory would be that even through all the misery that we were put through, all the places, the bad places that we went, the miserable nights out on the range that we'd be out on the range for weeks at a time, sleeping in the dirt, eating MREs. The best part, I'd say, was just we always found a way to make it fun. And no matter how miserable we were, out in Afghanistan, we were behind the wire for 8.5 months. And we always found a way to make the best out of it. As brothers, we were miserable, but we loved our life somehow.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to get out there and do any fishing? I had a buddy of mine that was stationed in Iraq back in 2005, 2006, and he managed to actually get out there and do a little bit of fishing. Did you have any opportunities to do that?
No, I'd say the best fishing that I had when I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in the reserves, they sent me down to Florida, and we were in the freshwater area, but the bass fishing out there was absolutely phenomenal. And on top of that, the coolest thing I think we caught out there, we spent a whole night. We found this little stream, and we were pulling in gar, and that was a first for me. Iowa isn't necessarily known for gar. I've seen a couple, never caught one, but it was just a cool experience. Afghanistan, no, there wasn't many fish in the area that we were in.
I gotcha. You never know you never know what I'm going to come across a guy that actually had a chance to, like whether they were in Germany fishing or Norway, everybody's assignment is going to obviously be different in that factor. But yeah, getting after bass down south is always fun. I've never seen a gar in Iowa when I used to fish along in Clear Lake or on the Cedar River, which we're all familiar with. But I did a couple years ago. A buddy of mine did catch himself a nice alligator gar. Probably, I don't know, 24 inches, maybe 30 inches long. Just kind of one of those random things. He saved it specifically for me, put it in a little live well on his, at the time, girlfriend's dad's boat, filled it up with a little water and stuff like that, showed me. And then once I got there and he showed it to me, he's like, he made me guess. It's like, I'm going through all the different fish that we've caught in that area, and gar was not on the list. Let that bad boy go. But such an interesting fish.
Yep, it is.
It'd be fun to go down like to Oklahoma or even into Texas and get after some of those massive alligator gar, those big old dinosaurs. Bringing a big old 8-footer up.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list. One of these days I'll make it down there.
Right? That'd be the best way to go. Up here, like up in Wisconsin, it's the going after the gar, or not the gar, but sturgeon. Big old lake sturgeon or river sturgeon. Those are always a fun one to come up with. I had a buddy of mine here a couple years ago. He caught like a 36-inch one, and that took him 45 minutes to reel up in a canoe. And he said that was probably the most struggle he's ever had with a big old bastard like that. It's just so unique when you pull them up and they look like a shark, but they never come above. They're just like a sucker. They just stay at the bottom. It's such a unique fish.
Yep.
I think gar and sturgeon are on most fishermen's bucket lists as far as fish to get.
Oh, for sure. Then I would like to get after do a. Ever since I saw the episode on Meat Eater, finding and going after some paddlefish. That'd be fun to get after. Like right now up in North Dakota and in Montana, they have season right now open for bow fishing for those. And I had Justin Fiskajon on my podcast here a couple of years ago, and he caught a world record. And he didn't have the record for very long. Then somebody came along and beat it like at 92 pounds in the state of Montana. Yeah, just absolute massive.
Crap.
But then if you get down in Oklahoma, it is actually not uncommon to snag or shoot 100+ pound paddlefish.
I mean, I wish I had a bow yesterday when me and Shelby were walking out of where we were fishing.
Yeah?
There's just a little stream we were walking up, and holy crap, there were so many carp in there. You could fire a random arrow and hit probably 3 of them.
Oh, no kidding. I tell you what, though, if you get hungry, they're not that bad eating. You just brine them up right because there's a lot of meat on them. Their bones are pretty big, but they're very sprayed apart, so you can smoke those up with a nice what any brine you want. But when the final product is finally completed, it is like a pork texture. Oh,
really?
Yeah, it's very interesting taste, and they work with everything. So you can actually go ahead and pair it up with some like a Jamaican jerk or a very sweet brine. It just absorbs that flavor without an issue, and then they work great at crackers.
Huh.
So, Nathan, do you deer hunt, right?
Yes.
Now, how was your 2022 season?
It was pretty good. This year, I really got a good opportunity. I took my 8-year-old boy out, and last year we ended up getting a doe. This last year, though, this nice little, I think he was an 8-point, walked out in front of us, and that was actually the first deer we seen. And we got the opportunity to drop it and drag it up this hill that was way too big for both of us. So we ended up using the winch on the Jeep. But that was a good experience, mostly for him. I wanted my main goal was to get him, give him buck fever and, ruin the rest of his life as far as hunting. Because, I've been stuck in his buck fever ever since I shot my first one when I was a kid. So now I get to share this thrill with him.
Now, did you shoot it with the bow or with the shotgun?
No, this year I ended up having to miss out on bow season. But I've got a 450 Bushmaster that we use.
Yeah, that's right. Because Iowa, they passed that straight well cartridge you can use, so it's not uncommon for. I have a buddy of mine in Osage. He shot himself a nice buck with a 450 Bushmaster as well.
Yep.
So what drew you to that caliper? Because I mean, it's not small by any means.
No. So when they first switched over, I got myself a 45 long Colt lever action. And honestly, I loved the gun. It was all stainless steel. It was a Rossi lever action, but the amount of bullet drop was just not logical. Unless you're going to take a shot less than 100 yards away, it just wasn't going to work.
Okay.
So 450 Bushmaster really came out and shined during that time. And that's when I bought myself a Ruger American in 450 Bushmaster, which was extremely light. It's short, way easy to pack. And it blasts. You get a good shot and get good shot placement on a good deer, and it doesn't go very far. So that was kind of my biggest reasoning. I know a lot of guys use the 350 Legend, which is also a good round. It's a smaller bullet, but still excellent for what we use it for.
That's perfect, man. That's good to hear that you chose that. So now, do you have opportunity to shoot past 100 yards in your area or not?
Yeah, a lot of the areas that we hunt, I like to stay right on the edge of tree lines and fence lines. So, I think 2 years ago, the doe I dropped was about 150 yards, but I know I'm confident at 300 with that 450 Bushmaster, just from the practice I put in.
Perfect. So then, when the buck came out, did you shoot it, or did your son have an opportunity to pull the trigger?
So I ended up pulling the trigger. He helped me out a lot, but I was the one that pulled the trigger on that one.
It's always exciting to expose a child to that particular atmosphere and they have that success too as well. Well, what was it like with his reaction when you guys both watched the deer drop?
Watching his reaction was honestly, it was the best thing in the world. Seeing the joy and the success, and he was all smiles, to be honest. And it was a good experience for him and for me, just to be able to witness that in him.
So now, are you part of the group that has their kids, like if they shoot a deer, so they put their blood on their cheeks and stuff like that?
Well, he was all about it. He does what he wants. He's a little 8-year-old. He's got a mind of his own, so he was playing with it a little bit. But yeah, me personally, I never grew up with that tradition. However, we do always harvest the heart first, obviously, and make a good stew out of it. So.
Oh, really? So you stew it then? How do you prep heart then when you go to stew the meat then? Because I've always had people do ceviche with it, or they'll fry it up, or they'll grill it. Tell me about how you prepare heart for a soup.
So one of my favorites, and this is pretty much the same recipe for any small game like squirrel, rabbit, even pheasant if you want to, but my preferred method is a crock pot with some cream of mushroom soup.
Oh, nice. So then now, do you slice it up then, or do you leave it whole?
No, I slice it before I cook it. Yep.
Okay. Wasn't quite sure because it's like removing all the blood from the arteries could be a little bit tricky if you don't cut into it.
Right. Yep.
So then, do you also bow hunt as well? Do you shoot bow?
Yes, I do. This last year we missed out. My tree stand is all of my tree stands are still standing, which is kind of bad. I need to get out there and tear them down. But this last year I had to skip out. We just had a lot of family stuff going on. Next year I'll definitely hit it hard for early season and fall, and just push through it because I'd really like to get out. It was a really good experience for me with what I was dealing with. A couple of years ago, going through a divorce, that was my therapy, was sitting in the tree stand for hours upon hours and just having those conversations with myself and nature. And that was just, he was peaceful and calming, and is a good experience. So this year, I definitely want to get out and do it again and get back into it.
And how many kids do you have?
I have got, me personally, I've got 2 children, a 2-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. And my girlfriend has got a 2-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy. So combined, we're up to 4 now.
Oh man, that's a lot of mouths to feed. So you'd be taking your hunting season. Actually, since we're gearing up, since everything now is opening up for open water, you're gonna be taking your fishing pretty seriously, because that's a lot of mouths to feed.
Oh yeah, yep.
So do you have any fishing trips coming up with Chris, or in general?
I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. I haven't even cast my rod out yet this year, but I was thinking about it earlier today, and so it's funny you ask.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get something planned. Not sure if it'll be a downrange trip or just hanging out, but we could definitely get together. I mean, I'm down in Des Moines now. I'm looking at going up Clear Lake once the walleye start biting up there a little bit better.
Yeah, yep. Season opens up. What is it? Okay, usually we plan our Okoboji trip around opener. So opener this year for it is the 6th for walleye. And then, so that's the 5th or the 6th of May, and then it kicks off, because I got going out to Okoboji May 10th through the 13th, 14th. It should be a fun trip for us. It's been a group of guys. It's been a semi-annual trip for the last 25 years, and right now we're at capacity. So it's like, I believe there's a lot of people that I want to bring with us to be able to come on this trip, because it is just an absolute hoot. A lot of food, a lot of beer. If you're a beer drinker, or if you're sober or whatever, and so it's like it's a lot of opportunities.
No, I never drink beer at all.
As you drink your Busch flavored water.
Nah.
I think he's more of a Bud Light guy.
No, not really.
Well, at least say when you
Maybe
joined
when
the
I
Army.
was a teenager.
Yeah,
maybe when I was a teenager, and that's all I could get.
Yeah, well, at least it's better than Keystone.
Oh man. God.
Yeah, that stuff is nasty. It's all I drank that a lot was in college, just because it was cheap. We could buy a lot of it, and Keystone Light was like everybody kind of drank that just because it's just something we could all stomach, and was cheap enough to buy a couple 30 packs.
Yeah.
Now I just drink whiskey, because it's like all that beer just makes me bloated. It's like, I'm good. It's like, just give me whiskey. I'll drink far less, and I'll get to point B a little bit quicker. Yeah, I was going through my garage today. I pulled out my case, my Lakewood case, and I'm gonna throw that in the back of my truck. I went ahead and added some stickers to my truck and kind of getting it all loaded out. I got some nice Molly back panels for both for on the back seat of the truck there, and so I'm gonna get those all loaded out. They make, I think on Etsy, somebody makes a 3D printed mold of them where you can actually get them where they actually hook into your back of your seats. Now I use a lot of collapsible poles because I've had really good luck with them, and it's really easy just to break them all down, because up until this year, I've always had a car. So having a 7-foot long pole makes it a little bit it makes it a little difficult when you have to worry about that extra rod going around. But I have 5-foot 3 poles all the way up to 7-foot 2 poles, and they work just great because they pack in, they take up a lot less room, and I'm able to get right to them, right to the point, and that's the best part about it, especially when you're packing in. That's an asset of it all.
Yep. And you can also pack in, like I'll at least take 2 rods. One, I'll throw out some catfish bait or liver, and the other one I'll, in the meantime, waiting for the big fish, I'll just cast out and honestly just try to catch whatever will bite, just to pass the meantime. So.
Isn't that the truth, man? I try to maximize as much as I possibly can, having 2 rods in there, one for casting and then one just for drifting, especially when you're in a boat or a kayak, just to have one just dragging to see if you can catch some carp, or not carp, but some bluegills, some crappies, some perch, or even some yellow bass too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've started doing with. I Iowa's newer 3-line license. I'll buy that so I can have 2 cat rods out, but I'll have my spinner going too.
That's cool. Now, Chris, you've been kind of gearing up and moving towards possibly potentially guiding yourself. What are some of the rules that you can have when you have a group of people with you? Have you looked at like how many rods a guy can have out if you're guiding?
It's as many as, like, say us 3 are on the boat and we all had 3-line licenses, we could have 9 rods out total.
Okay, so pretty straightforward.
So like
that.
when Martin takes people out, say he has 2 people with fishing license plus he buys his 3-line license, they could potentially run before 7 lines. But he has the 6 rod holder, so that's kind of the max he does on his boat.
Yeah, but then you get so many boats or you get so many rods out there. That's a lot of lines to try to pay attention with. I know.
Oh yeah.
A couple years ago, I went out to do some salmon fishing there. We had 19 lines out there, and that's a lot of lines to navigate all
Jesus.
Different depths,
Holy
different
crap.
lengths. Yeah. Yeah, it's like hats off to the captain, man. He had everything really well balanced. It's this way, he didn't roll in anything. But then once the swells got about, I think it was about 130-ish or 130, the swells got to be like 18 foot, and the lines started drifting across. They started bunching up, and so all they did is like they just started rolling them. It's just fuck it. Let's just everybody, all hands on deck, grab a rod, start reeling them in, and going from there. And then once we got back into the bay there, then we dropped a whole new set of lines. That's the joys of having a very well stocked boat.
Yep. I think what I'm gonna do with downrange this year too, to kind of help out with funds to get veterans out, is I'm gonna do another T-shirt. Probably, I got one that I put up a couple years ago that the sales just didn't go over well, but a lot of people liked the design. At the time they just didn't have the money for it because that was kind of right during COVID. So it was the year after I did the Corona Apocalypse T-shirt.
Oh yeah, I bought one. I get so many looks when I go to BioLife, man. They just look at it because it's like there's so many people there that drank the Kool-Aid, and it's like I just walk in there. It's like I get some weird side-eye looks to it. It's like I love it. That's like and plus the company you went through. What is it?
Mag.
Oh, what's the name of it? Mag. There we go. That's what I thought it was. It's like I wasn't sure, but man, those shirts are soft.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I know. Actually, surprisingly enough, my last BioLife appointment that was this last Saturday, it was actually fairly quick in and out. I think I was in and out within an hour. But there was one guy that was wearing one of the DRA original logo shirts.
No kidding. So you have a chance to go talk to him?
No, I didn't. He was in a different area than I was.
Ah, I gotcha.
But it's kind of nice seeing, I've put in some hard work, and it's kind of nice just randomly seeing that kind of stuff.
It is. It is always a pleasant thing to see. So Nathan, do you have any hunts coming up that you want to talk about?
Not. I don't have anything planned this year. 2 years ago, I did have everything planned out for a black bear hunt out in Colorado, even down to having a tag in my hand, and everything lined up. And my 2 buddies that were going to go out with me originally, they backed out, which left me. And I was like, after that, I was like, you know what? Screw it. And I started watching like solo hunters, and all sorts of YouTube videos on how to solo hunt black bear. And I was all geared up, ready to go. And then I ended up getting a call from a private security company that needed people down in Louisiana when the hurricane hit. So I missed that trip, unfortunately, for work. I made some good money, but looking back, I kind of wish I would have just stuck with it and committed to the bear hunt. But I would like to finish that off, because everything, like all the research we did on it, all the the area maps we looked at, it was, I would hate for all that to be a waste. I think that would definitely be my next hunt.
That would be way. So walk us through that. So now the Colorado bear hunt, was that over the counter? Did you have to get drawn for it? Tell us the process on what all went into that hunt prior to getting the tag and such.
So you do have to get drawn for it, and like in Colorado, you have the option to have so to say a party draw. So like us three, we put in for this party draw, and if one got it, we all got it. If one you didn't get it, then none of us got it. And they kind of just go by areas. They block, they pretty much block off all of the land into parcels, and then those areas have so much demand for hunters due to population and stuff. So like not being a resident and not having any points for certain areas, you're limited to the more heavily popular hunted areas. So like, I'm sure we probably would have had a good chance to get a good bear, but also they use the point system out there. So if you buy points throughout the years, then you can get access to the better hunting land.
Okay, so that's interesting. So then, as a group hunt for the trio of you, what's the price, or what was the price tag on that? Because I'm assuming every year we just have to assume it's going to go up in price.
Right. It's hard to remember what it was. I know it was over $300 between the license and the tag. I know that, but I mean, it was pretty cheap compared to what out of state people come to hunt deer in Iowa. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But no, it was pretty affordable. I don't think that black bear is necessarily a really sought after game. People, I don't know if they just don't think about it or if they, think they're too cute, but it really doesn't seem like a whole lot of people hunt black bear. So that could have to do with the price being more affordable. I'm really not sure.
It could be they are a very difficult animal to track down. That's why up here in Wisconsin, most of the people will hunt over bait just because the likeliness of you crossing paths with one in the wild is very slim, very hard to come by,
right,
unless you got it timed out or just purely dumb luck when it comes down to it. And we have up here in Wisconsin, we have some pretty big bears. I have a friend of mine that has some land down in Oskaloosa, and they were we actually caught a bear on their trail camps all the way down there. And most likely it was a young juvenile. They got pushed off to head back up north. But I'm sure you probably saw the Meat Eater episode that came out a couple years ago where they had a bear win them from 1,000 yards away. So it's like they have some really ridiculous good smell, good noses on them.
Yep, and you can guarantee I watched that episode multiple times getting ready for that bear hunt. To be honest. Once my buddies backed out, I was really I put a lot of time into researching solo hunts. So that was definitely a lot of the research that I did was watching those episodes and just getting a feel for what you actually have to go through to be able to even solo hunt between the lightweight gear and obviously up in the mountains, you can't really plan for weather because it changes on a dime, and one thing that really does help, I've heard, for black bear out in Colorado specifically, is elk season is about a week before that. So the popular places that the black bears like to hang out are gut piles from those elk hunts.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
and then on your way out there, like, what did you pack for gear? If you were to go, what did you have lined up for your gear wise?
So during that time getting ready for that hunt, I'm not gonna lie, I spent a lot of money. Luckily, I was single at the time, so I didn't have anybody bitching at me. But I did spend a lot of money on a nice pack that was specifically designed so you've got a main pouch, and then in between your frame and the main pouch, it expands out, and that's where you put your meat sacks. I got that pack. I bought new boots for that trip specifically. I had to buy a single person tent that was, I think the tent itself only weighs like 2.5 pounds, and it uses trekking poles as the frame of it. I bought a lightweight sleeping system that was rated for, I think it was negative 15 degrees, just in case it were to get cold up there. And obviously, like Pneuma hunting clothing, I got a nice, or two new pairs of insulated pants and then one pair of non-insulated pants, just to kind of also prepare for the worst. Because you never know up there. It could snow, it could rain, and it could be 90 degrees and sunny. So I actually lived out in Colorado for about 2 years. I went to gunsmithing school out there, so I was really familiar with the area, the terrain, and also the weather. So I knew what to prepare for the most part, which I feel like I benefited the team in that category, knowing, living out there. And we did a lot of hikes up there in the high mountains, and so I was very prepared, and I am fairly certain I would have survived at least a solo hunt up there by myself.
For sure. So then what was your thought process behind when you were looking at picking out a sidearm for the trip?
So as far as the sidearm, my sidearm was either as a solo hunt, I was thinking about just taking my 357 Magnum if it was just me. If not, I've got one of my Marine Corps buddies that I deployed with lives out there and is a resident out there, and I was almost thinking about having him come along with a 12 gauge or of some sorts, something big and powerful, or even the 450 Bushmaster, because I'm fairly certain that would do it. But with bear, you're looking at more penetration than bullet diameter. So even small, fast bullets are more, usable with bear than big, slow bullets, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes perfect. I get it. I've seen a popular carry has been the 10 millimeter. Even last fall, there's been a couple of guys that were able to be successful with the Sig X10 and putting down big bull elk.
Yep, absolutely. The 10 millimeter is a great round. I have never personally owned one, but I've got a lot of friends that have used it, and that really is popular out there as a, so to say, a self-defense against bears, mountain lions, and such.
Yeah, that would be a trip. Have you ever had a chance to have a taste of mountain lion?
I have came fairly close to a couple of them, but luckily I didn't get close enough to have to change my pants. There was one hike, me and my best friend out in Colorado. We were up by Aspen. We started at Aspen and hiked up. Where we stop usually is about 13,000 feet, and it's a 10-mile hike in from 9,000 to 13,000. So it's a pretty good elevation gain. We got in pretty late to the trailhead, and just for giggles, we decided to pull a night hike. So we got about 5 or 6 miles in, and it was really neat. There was actually moose on the trail that were grazing. So we just, stopped, backed up, and turned our lights off and just hung out for a while. And, being up there by yourself in the dark, it kind of starts getting, you start getting paranoid a little bit. So we started using our flashlights. We were both working as security guards out there. So we had 1,000 lumen flashlights and stuff just in case. And we started shining them around, and there were eyes just up the mountain from where we were in this open grassland. And I can almost guarantee it was mountain lion just, watching us. But that's, I would say, the closest I ever got to one.
I think that's the closest I ever want to get to one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Minus if I was going after them.
Yep, scratch it behind the ears.
Oh, no kidding. That would be freaky. There was Johnny Mulligan. He's been on the podcast. He lives there in Iowa as well, over in the south, east side of the state, and he just wrapped up an 11-day hunt backcountry for a mountain lion. It's a big tom. He got lucky, but it took 11 days to get one, but he managed to pull it together.
Yep.
Now, Chris, so how was your 2022 season?
Well, with having to move down to Des Moines 3 weeks before season started, I didn't have a lot of opportunity to scout the area. So I did a lot of scouting, or at least boots on ground scouting. So I did a lot of scouting with Onyx and Google Earth, and found a couple good spots that kind of went in blind during season. Kind of, just used what I knew from being able to read topo maps and stuff like that. Only was able to take about a 3-day vacation instead of my normal 9-day that I would normally take. But went up to Northeast Iowa with the family for our last family trip up there. And we just happened to do it on opening weekend. So, of course, I had cameras up there already. So the day before season, I ran and grabbed all my cameras, or grabbed all the cards, and went through my trail camera pictures. One spot had a lot of buck, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get in there without getting busted, because they were coming in anywhere from 1 a.m. to 1 p.m., like consistently. Not the same buck consistently, but it was a very heavily populated area. And I wasn't sure I could even get in there without getting busted, without going in and basically spending the night in the tree. But I didn't end up getting anything this year, but I'm going to start prepping for 2023-24 season coming up here right after turkey ends.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, I know you and I had some very interesting seasons considering everything that went on. So I was just kind of curious and to kind of get your take from what some of your hurdles you had to overcome to put some at least get up in the tree.
Yeah. I mean, getting kind of tossed to another area that you've never really scouted kind of sucks when it's 2-3 weeks before season starts, and had to start a new job, and knew I wasn't going to have the time or money to go up to camp like I wanted to. But this next year, I think I'm going to run some trail cameras up at camp where I normally would go. Going to do some scouting where we would fish in Sunday, because it just a train looked like would be great. It's thick cover, but there are some really sharp draws in there that would make good pinch points. So I might throw a couple trail cameras up in there too, and saw a lot of deer sign on the way in and out. So should be interesting.
That's exciting, man. Yeah, this upcoming season, I got a vacation to go down to Illinois. I got drawn for a guided hunt in Galesville area, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that's going to be a 6-day hunt there. So hopefully something will show up and I'll connect with it. So the nice thing is, I don't know if you guys have ever a chance to run across Travis Bigger at the Iowa Deer Classic. He is just a heck of a guy.
I think I talked to him a couple of years back. Can't remember. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, this year should definitely be interesting. My plan is to take the first week or two of season and kind of focus on doe hunting, just fill in the freezer. That way, once the rut starts to kind of get into swing, that first little part of the bell curve, I've already got deer in the freezer, and I can not shoot the first thing that walks by, not have to worry about filling the freezer, and focus more on getting a nice buck.
That's a good attitude right there to have, man. Nathan, how about yourself? So do you have a strategy this season for scouting?
Yeah, I think this year, like I said, I already got my spots lined up right along the Iowa River. I've got permission to hunt this really, really good piece of land. A couple of them actually along the river. As far as bow season, I'd like to get out. I have my spots for my tree stands ready, which I've used in the past. There's some really nice trails that run through there, but I would like to get my son out like we did with shotgun season this year, and maybe set up a double tree stand and just get out. And I've got a really good idea of the traffic that runs through the areas so far, because it's the same areas that I gun hunt as well, but they just use the same strategies for the most part. And try to get it done. And like Chris was saying, he's kind of got the same strategies as me as well. I'd like to get more meat than anything this year, so I might definitely, in the beginning, purchase 2 tags from the get-go, and any sex in the doe tag at least, and fill that doe tag and just wait for that big buck to come through.
As far as that goes, I'll tell you this. I was talking to Tacticam Reveal at the Classic this year, and they do have a military discount on their cameras. It's not a military discount on the plans, but on the cameras themselves, you can.
Huh. Nice. That's cool. Did not know that.
Yep. They said you could message them on Facebook. Just Tacticam Reveal, go to their Tacticam Reveal Facebook page, shoot them a message on how to get the military discount. They'll work with you from there.
Huh.
Very cool. I know, go ahead.
I bought one of their, I think it's their X Pro or Pro X, one of their newer models at the Classic this year. And I'm looking at purchasing a couple more because what's nice is they have a built-in GPS. So if somebody steals it, you can still ping it. And then, it's nice because you won't lose it in the woods.
Oh, that is so true. Oh man, I've been there too. I just picked up the Dells, the open season there. They had Moultrie there, and they had a event deal. You get two cell cameras for $75 a piece, so $150 for the pair. Now I've ran Moultrie since 2015. I've always had really good luck, always had really good success with the cameras and being able to deal with the harsh winters and the rain and stuff like that. And this system is they don't have an SD card. It's just they got either you can put 8 batteries in there, 16 batteries, or you can run it off a cellular device too and stuff like that. And I'm kind of looking forward to trying it all out. The price tag's about normal for the monthly plan, so I'm not too scared about that. But I'm just kind of excited to see how their technology works out, because this year the 2023 talk of the town is the Spy Point Flex. That seems to be a popular one that's been on the chatter on the message boards and such.
Yeah, what I like about that the new Tacticam I bought, it actually has the IR black flash or whatever you want to call it. So there's not even the LED. It doesn't even have the LED red light come up.
Okay.
So it's from what it looks like on the packaging and the research I did, you still get your crystal clear nighttime pictures, but you don't see that red light you see with a lot of cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So the deer, I know they can't see red, but they obviously, you're going to see something. But this one has no light to it, no flash. So the deer won't see that, which I'm kind of excited to see how that works.
That's excellent, man. I'll
probably set it up in my backyard first.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. I got I'll set mine up downstairs in the basement because it's so dark in here that it's like it'd be interesting to see how they trigger and such.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking about throwing mine up in my parents' backyard because they have deer and everything running in their backyard.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a big doe the last couple of years that beds in where they put their asparagus patch. She'll just go in there and bed in the backyard.
All right.
So that'll be a good test to see how well that actually works.
Sweet. So now, are you guys going to make it to any 3D archery shoots this year, whether it be Black Hawk Archers there with Tyson and Kayla, or maybe HHA USA, Attack, R100?
I'm looking at making it to, is it the Toma shoot for HHA?
Yeah,
I think that's the closer of them to me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at getting that one, so.
Cool. Now, are you going to come up on Friday or going to come up on Saturday?
Either Friday night or Saturday morning. I won't shoot Friday.
Well, it's because there's no shoot on Friday. The reason why I asked if you're able to come up on Friday and you're able to get here before like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, I'm doing a big old meet. I'm doing a big old barbecue. But if you want to, Chris, you can come up Friday and you can crash here. I got a couch. I have air mattresses. I got plenty of room for you to sleep in.
Okay,
So this way,
well-
then you don't have to worry about. And I'm only 40 minutes away from that shoot, anyhow.
Well, with this new job, I won't have time off, so that'll depend if I can get that day off or I'm just gonna drive up after work. So
On Saturday or on Friday.
Yep. And Nate, if you want, if I drive up Saturday, I can swing over and grab you, and we'll just take off nice and early.
Okay.
There you go. You gonna reach out to Chris too as well, and swing through Osage and grab him.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Nate, you live just south of Mason City, so I can shoot up 35, grab you, then we can shoot over to Osage.
Yeah, that'd be great to have you
We'll,
back on there.
We'll have to figure out how to fit 3 veterans and 3 bows in the car, but
Yeah.
At that point, I think I'll borrow a car instead of driving my truck up there.
Yeah,
Save a little money on gas.
well, you got 2 extra bodies there to pitch in. You know, ask cast for grass. Don't be right so free.
Yeah.
Well,
If you had a Navy
more-
guy, you know what you'd be getting.
well, Marines do fall under the Department of the Navy, so I mean, I
Hey,
do.
we're the men's department. Hey, watch yourself.
Oh, funny. Yeah, it'd be cool because our 100 this year is in. Well, it's the same weekend as Toma, which kind of sucks because I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to do Iowa and Sparta's, but they're 2 separate. They're the same weekend as Toma, and then Sparta's 2 weeks later after that for their R100. But that's a fun shoot you guys can make it to. That's I highly recommend. It's hot, unfortunately, because it's going to be in frickin' July, but it is what it is. And then,
Yeah, maybe this time I won't spine shoot a raptor.
Oh, man.
I'm glad my fletch stuck there. Otherwise, I would have had no points.
I spined a Reinhardt mule deer last July at the Beastwood Archery Games, and I happened to find the rebarb, and I ended up bending my point. It fucked
Jesus.
up the entire front of it. Yeah. So I went to the shoot with 6 arrows. I came home with 1. So it was a rough day, needless to say. But
that's an expensive day.
It was. Luckily for me, I got a dozen arrows from an HHA USA auction, so I only paid $110 for Carbon Express SDs for a dozen arrows.
Okay.
So that was the silver lining of the whole thing. But otherwise, yeah, that would have been a very expensive day. But we're taking shots at 80 to 100 yards, so you're bound to mess something up.
Oh yeah, that's where I like my Tetra, and I could just dial that right in. And so far, it's been accurate. So everywhere Chris said it would be.
Oh, yes. 100%. I'm going to be upgrading for my Elite. I'll be putting the Rise on that. And once I get my new strings in from A3 Archery, I'm going to put that on my Expedition. And that's when I'm going to take my Tetra that's currently on my Elite and move it to that one because that's my target bow, essentially. So I don't need to have a fancy Rise for my Expedition bow. Nathan, what do you shoot? Do you shoot Expedition too, or do you shoot Matthews, Hoyt, Bear?
Currently I have a Hoyt bow, and it is an older bow. It was a hand-me-down from a good friend, which I did purchase from him. But it's never done me wrong so far. Right now I'm definitely confident to 50 yards, but past that it's just kind of, if there was a deer past that, I probably wouldn't pull. But know that it's just always been good for me, and I put my practice in between unknown distances, so to say, or known distances out to 50 yards, and it's definitely honestly it's good. It's good workout. It's good therapy for me, and it helps steady me as far as getting the shakes and stuff. But bow shooting in general, just practicing with it is definitely fun.
Now, do you like a 3-pin or a single pin, or like a 4?
I have a 3-pin.
3-pin. Now, have you ever shot a single pin yet, or is you just prefer to having the 3 separate pins at different yardages just in case of the less movement?
As much as I would love a single pin, which I'm looking into it, I really would like to start upgrading a lot of things on it. But for right now, the 3 pins, it hasn't done me wrong yet, but a single pin definitely would come in handy.
That'd be the way to go. The Rise also has a dual pin on it too, so it's 2 pins. So that's something to look into. And then nice thing is HHA does have a military discount as well, so you have that going for you. And if you're able to get to an HHA auction or get to one of those HHA USA events, you may be able to you can get one for a reasonable deal at an auction too as well. So that there's options for folks out there to be able to get a really nice sight without paying the $350 to $450 for the price tag on it. But the best part is though with HHA, it's lifetime warranty, great customer service, and I think that's why they've been able to do so well is the customer service. I think that's what really sets everybody apart.
Yeah, they're pretty rugged too. I was climbing down out of the tree stand this last season, and my strap broke on me when I was about 6 foot off the ground still.
Ooh, yeah.
And my bow just took a tumble. First thing I thought is I just snapped my sight. Picked it up, and I was the tree I was on was like right on a old creek bed, dried up creek bed. So the other side was about a 5 foot embankment, old dirt. So I just put a couple arrows in there, and I was hitting dead on still, which I was really surprised. I was kind of expecting to have to call Chris and go, hey, I fucked up my sight.
Oh man, that would be rough. That would be rough to drop it in something like that. But the upside is that like they are built to last. I've had it like where I've had my bow leaned up a tree and lean on against a tree and it drops down. Then before I go out the next day, I'd shoot it a couple of times to make sure it's around the money. But I've never really had any major issues with the alignment coming off and not being able to have to spend a whole lot of time getting everything back in line again for the remainder of the hunt.
No, what worried me is that was it the first or second day of my rut hunt. So I was kind of worried about that.
Ooh, man, talk about rough timing.
Definitely.
So Nathan, do you have any hunts that you want to accomplish in the next few years?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of them. My brother lately, the last couple of years, he's been going out to Wyoming on, I want to say antelope hunts, and he's been trying to convince me to come along with him. And one of these days I will definitely go. He was really pushing for this year. This year is probably not going to work for me, but besides that, like I said, that bear hunt's definitely one of my priority lists, since I've put the time into the research on that. And one of these days, I ought to make it up to Alaska and see what I can't shoot up there. But definitely, I've never been on a hog hunt, so that would be one for the record books for hopefully, within this year to next year. That'd definitely be on the list.
I would definitely want to do a hog. It won't be this year because I have so many trips already planned as it is. But next year, that would be a fun trip to go do in like March, to go down to Texas. There's a couple of guys that I shoot with here in Wisconsin. They do a yearly trip down there, and then wherever they harvest down there, they'll turn around, they'll host big old barbecues and such, and just make a wide variety of good food. But that's something we can always tag along with just to go from there. And they go down there with just arrows. Bows and arrows. That's all I do. They get up. They're
That'd be interesting. That'd be fun. That's
all I do. Is then they also bring guns with them too as well, just in case they get a little bored or they're getting like they want to at least get something. Because sometimes they're hogs. You never know how they're going to cooperate with you. Because I've heard. Don't quote me on it, but I've heard that there's a couple places in Illinois that you can hog hunt, but it's not like if you're going down to Texas or to New Mexico or Alabama and going after hogs around there.
Yeah, everything up here is practically just farms.
Yeah, and
I
was just going to say that Missouri, the reason why we haven't seen any come up through southern Iowa is Missouri is that they trap them all, but they do not have a season for them. In order to trap, you have to be pretty much vetted, and you have to get the government contract to do it because they're putting that they don't want a season, so they figure out the only way to do it is to make sure there isn't one, and they just trap them and go hard after that. That's why we've been pretty lucky in Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas. You don't see hogs running around, but from what I've heard over by British Columbia, hogs are starting to make their way up into there, and they're starting to creeping their way across Idaho, Montana, and they're slowly making their rounds westward, because it's like, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Justin Trudeau has not been very nice to gun owners up there. I mean, they went full Fourth Reich, and it's just kind of disgusting what they've done for even subsistence hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, now they're having issues of these particular pests running rampant.
Yep. Speaking of hunting trips coming up, Nate, I got to check with my family, make sure it's okay. But if you want to come up to my family's cabin this year, as long as it's okay with them, you can come up with me and do the rut hunt up there with me.
All right.
I think this year I have scheduled for, I want to say it's the October, November kind of mixed week there. So we'll be hunting Halloween.
Okay.
I don't know how that works with your schedule with the kids, but I think that's when I'm planning on being up there. It's either that or the week after.
All right.
Very cool. And if you guys ever want to come up to Wisconsin hunt, over-the-counter buck tag is $160. So that is stupid cheap. And in Minnesota, same thing too. That is $160. Then you go to Illinois, that's $460. That's after getting your habitat stamp and your deer license. And then I've heard Nebraska is, it's like $260. But I think if you spend a little bit more, like in the 300s, you can get a mule deer tag and a white-tailed deer tag for archery, but good luck with both of those. I've heard that the mule deer population for hunting in Nebraska is very difficult to pull it off with archery.
Okay, Jeff, just let us focus on filling our Iowa tags first.
Well, the nice thing is with Wisconsin, we can hunt all the way up until January 31st. So
that is true.
There is, and the gun season ends January 1st in certain areas too. It's because they have a holiday hunt, because we have everybody has that time frame off. I only live like 6 minutes away from a couple thousand acres, so it's all right. But it's not. It's bluff country. This is not Iowa country. This is like steep up and down twists and turns, but it's fun. I've had some fun experiences getting back in there.
Yeah, Nate, when I head up to camp this year, I'll let you know, and if you're not busy, you can tag along. We can do some team scouting up there.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I mean, I think I sent you the pictures of the bucks I was getting last year.
Yeah, you sent them to me. Those are really impressive ones.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that short wide 10, the first morning I was up there, passed behind me. There was something walking through the brush, and you could tell it wasn't like body hitting the brush. It was like antler, because you could tell it was a little higher. And it's not thick. It wasn't like super thick behind me. But to hit anything, it had to be wider. So it was either that wide 10 or, Bigfoot. So.
Is there anything that we haven't covered yet you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I think you hit all the bullet points I'd be thinking about.
Anything from you, Nathan? Anything we missed that you wanna talk about?
Not necessarily. I will say, Chris, if you need help this year with helping out with guided services, let me know. I mean, I can make myself available, especially for the overall picture of helping out vets like us that have seen our hard times and gotten through them. So if you ever do need a hand with anything, just let me know, and I'd love to help out in any way that I can.
Yeah, no, I'll reach out to you here in a couple days after I get a couple things done, so we can figure something out.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Love hearing collaboration in the making for the upcoming season. Yeah, because from what I heard, I have a friend of mine that's from Ohio that's out there hunting right now in Iowa, and they managed to punch their tag today. Their opening day for turkey is today. 7 a.m. Done. Over with. It's like, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, I would like to say thank you for coming on. What are some of the best ways for folks to be able to reach out to you directly?
For me, it'd be either DRA Outdoors' Facebook page or Instagram.
Awesome. How about you, Nathan? Do you have any social media presences, or you'd like to be off grid?
No, I've got a couple social medias. I've got Facebook. It's just Nathan C. Meyer, and then Instagram is Street Billy 357 Mag.
Nice. Well, there you have it, folks. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast. It was a great time chatting with you, great time meeting with you, Nate. So hopefully that if everything works out, we'll be able to cross paths at one of a 3D shoot, because I know we're going to be going to the Blackhawk Archers there in Waterloo for 1 or 2 events. I don't think we'll be able to make it to all 3 over the summer, but it's just an absolute fun course to shoot. I've shot a lot of different courses throughout the Midwest here, and that one right there ranks in the top 10.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. It was a pretty great experience to share, my experience with the outdoors with DRA and Chris, so thanks for having me. I appreciate it big time, and hopefully this will give some inspiration to other vets out there to get out there and enjoy the, nature and get their therapy in, but also know that there are people and organizations out there to help. So never be hesitant to reach out if you need help. There's things out there. There's people out there that's willing to hold, help you through things. So just keep your chin up and keep pushing on. And if you ever need anything, reach out to me. Reach out to a brother. You know what to do. So.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate the kind words. So you guys have yourself a great night.